Hi everyone and welcome to the Dodo Bird Nerd. It's me, the Dodo Bird Nerd, and today's video I'm going to be starting a new Pokemon series for the channel. Now this is the first Pokemon video I'm posting under my new schedule, which if you aren't already aware is a magic video the first week, followed by a Lego video the second week, a Pokemon video the third week, which is this week, followed by something creative, most likely a drawing video the fourth week. Then the cycle repeats itself. Now, these videos are going to be posted at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. So, basically, I'm going to be talking about which Pokemon are based on extinct animals for the first generation, but I think I'll leave the more specific parts after the intro. So, without any further ado, let's roll the intro and let's get started. So what exactly is this series going to be? Well, basically, as I said in the intro, this video is specifically for the first generation of Pokemon, as I'm going to go generation by generation, discussing which Pokemon have a extinct animal basis of some extended variety. What exactly that means, I'll get into in a second. So, first, I'm going to divide them into three categories after briefly discussing the extinct animal in question. Now, these categories are an exact match, where I believe that I don't think Pokemon could make a better version. Potentially they could, but I doubt it. It's basically an exact translation with some added little bits and pieces to make it that as a Pokemon. It's basically just perfect. Then we have close enough. Now, this one is the most variety. It can also have some less close enough or more close enough, though mainly less close enough in this video. Now, basically what that means is it's good. It accomplishes its task decently well, yet it could do some more in order to better accomplish that task. It's okay. I'd be fine if that was the only one we got of that extinct animal, but they could do better. Lastly, we have the how? Now, this category is for one that a lot of people seem to think is based on an extinct animal, while in reality it really isn't. Maybe if you squint, and when I say squint, I do mean squint, you could maybe see that specific extinct animal. But it likely is such a minor thing that it can't be used as an argument. And so the second thing is, what exactly these extinct animals I'm going to count as. First, I'm not going to go anything that accidents into being a dinosaur based on being a lizard, because there are a lot of Pokemon that have some very minor dinosaur traits due to being a lizard or being Scyther. I don't want to cover them because it would basically be, oh, this is a baby dinosaur. Oh, this is a baby dinosaur. Oh, this is a baby dinosaur. So I don't want to do that because they're probably just lizards with a very minor design choice that made them look like a dinosaur. So I don't want to count those. And the other thing I'm not counting is Pokemon that are based on a generic version of a animal species, such as Sandslash being a pangolin, because there was extinct versions of pangolins, there were extinct versions of all species in the past. But if it's based on just a generic version of that species, I don't think I could cover it. I'm relatively going to only cover specific things that are extinct, or if the entire type of animal is extinct, then I'll cover it. For example, I won't cover a mouse, yet if it's based on a specific extinct mouse, then I'll cover it. Same thing with Sandslash and a pangolin. And before I get any further, all image credits will be in the description below, as well as any sources for any further reading, as well as the small amount of information I got. Most of it is from Wikipedia, but it is all in the description below, just if you want to do any further reading, as well as to, I don't get a plagiarism check. So, the first extinct animal we have is one you'll be seeing a lot of as grass starters, that is their theme, is the Bulbasaur line. And so the Bulbasaur line has very minor traits of the Beelzebufo. Now, before I continue, I would like to say that a lot of these inspirations are from Bubblepedia, so their Bubblepedia pages will be linked. Some of them are from my own imagination, not imagination, but just interpretations, and others are from other people that I have heard. So I will credit any of those people in the description, if I remember who I got them from. Now, back to Bulbasaur being a Beelzebufo. It generally has the right size and kind of proportions. A Beelzebufo, if you couldn't tell by the picture, is a prehistoric frog. However, it does have some aspects of other frogs, and the coloring doesn't exactly match what you would expect with a Beelzebufo. If it was just a generic frog, it would be fine, but if we're going for this is specifically the Beelzebufo Pokemon, I can't give it that because the coloring's a bit off and does have aspects from other frogs, which is fine. I can't really give it as much of an exact match thing. So I will give the Bulbasaur line a close enough for its basis being on a Beelzebufo. The next line is quite further on in the Pokedex, which is the Slowpoke line, which this is from the Birdkeeper Toby Tree of Life video, so I will credit that in the description, because this is not listed on Bulbapedia, but he mentions that it has some inspirations from, I'm going to butcher this, a Prorasomidae, which is basically like a extinct Ammonites relative. Sorry for the misspeaking there, but I do realize I misspelled it. I can't really change it because I wanted these all to look somewhat consistent, and that would kind of ruin the consistency. But there should be a T after the S in Prorasomidae. So basically, these are some extinct manatee relatives, and I can definitely see it. However, we don't have any evidence of shells, and they do have a lot of inspiration from extinct types of snail, not extinct, but poisonous snails, mainly on the Galarian Slowbro, but they're also called the hermit crab Pokemon, so I can't give them a full, this is what they are, so I'm going to give them another close enough, but they are very close, and it's probably one of the better translations for what a Slowbro or Slowpoke could potentially be. And shocker, you will probably be seeing Slowking in the next episode of this series. Moving on to the one that I'm going to do a little bit of a rant about. Doduo and Dodrio. Now, the inspiration I can get behind somewhat is the Moa. They have a similar color scheme, and while their neck and legs aren't exactly accurate, they're not far off from being a Moa, though I think they're mainly just being a generic flightless bird. I will give them a small amount of Moa inspiration. What I can't do, I cannot give them any amount of Dodo bird inspiration except maybe their name, because they are not Dodo birds. I should know. My channel is literally called the Dodo Bird Nerd. They are not Dodo birds. The beak is wrong, the head shape is wrong, the neck shape is wrong, the height is wrong, the legs are wrong, the tail is wrong, the body shape is wrong. Everything about them being a dodo bird is wrong. The only thing that is close is they're flightless. I mean, you can't even see the wings on them. On dodo birds, their wings are noticeable due to the white tips in most depictions. So these are not dodo birds in any stretch of the imagination. They're only dodo birds based on their name, which I can't give enough of an inspiration credit for. So for their Moa inspiration, I'm going to give them a close enough. But for their Dodo bird inspiration, I have to give them a how, because they are not Dodo birds. They just are not. Moving on to a more easy to discuss topic, we have Dewgong. Not seal, because that's very clearly a seal, but Dewgong, which does have some inspirations from Steller's sea cow. Now, this is mainly from its name being another member of Sirenia, which Steller's sea cow was, and its ice typing, because Steller's sea cow lived near the Arctic. As well as the fact that apparently fossil evidence indicates that some prehistoric members of Sirenia had fangs, which could be the explanation for Dewgong. However, they weren't horned, and Steller's sea cow specifically didn't have those fangs. And the skin is generally not as rough as it should be. I know that's minor, but it is something I would want to bring up. So I'm going to give Dewgong a close enough. It isn't perfect. I would prefer a new Stellar Sea Cow, maybe if we got like a Canada region in the future, but I'll give it a close enough. Next up, we have Cubone and Marowak, which I could see maybe giving them some Iguanodon. Bulbapedia mentioned how they kind of have some reptilian aspects and are kind of similar to dinosaurs in that aspect. And I noticed how they had those pronounced thumbs as well as a bone theme. The thumbs mainly would be a link to an Iguanodon specifically, and the bone theme, Iguanodon was a very early discovered dinosaur, so that bone could be a potential reference to that. However, I'm not saying this to discredit the Kangaskhan, is Cubone's mother theory. I still think that is very much true, especially after the SOS calling in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon. I'm just saying they took some design inspiration from an Iguanodon, potentially, and if you wanted to use an Iguanodon Pokemon, these could serve that purpose for you. So I'm going to give them a close enough. Another Pokemon that could serve that purpose for you is our next Pokemon, which is Lickitung. Now, this one has a somewhat similar case to Marowak, where it has some lizard aspects with a thumb that is a different color and is separate. Now, normally, I would just lump this with the accidents into having a dinosaur basis, but the fact that it has the thumb spike means I can't really do that, so I'm at least going to mention it as potentially being an Iguanodon. I would say Cubone and Marowak are a bit closer, so I'm going to give this one a less close enough, as it isn't quite there, similar to Cubone and Marowak, but it's less there than Cubone and Marowak, if you can understand what I am saying. The next Pokemon is Rhyhorn and Rhydon, which both have some Ceratops inspiration, according to Bulbapedia, as well as, I apologize, I'm going to butcher this as well, Uintatherium, which is a similar rhino-like thing. The image is there. That's mainly on Rhyhorn, but I guess you could kind of see it a bit on Rhydon. However, these were clearly meant to be specifically rhinos, and the rock jaggedness gave them the appearance of these things. Though I will give them close enough on both accounts. It was probably not intended to be that, but it does have the general aesthetic and potential similarities that I kind of feel like I have to give it to them. The next thing is Kangaskhan, actually, being based on potentially having a basis in the Procoptodon, which is a prehistoric kangaroo. Now, you could definitely see the similarities with the somewhat different face shape. The bigger size was noted on Wikipedia, as well as they're having like those pointed toe, which Kangaskhan does have. Like, not toe, but a nail. However, I feel like I have to give this one a close enough, as Kangaskhan does have some aspects of a more traditional kangaroo. So, again, and part of the body shape is a bit off. A lot of people consider Kangaskhan to not be as accurate kangaroo as it could be, which I do somewhat agree with. So that's why I'm only going to give this a close enough. Next up, and I believe this is our first exact match, Lapras. It's a Plesiosaur. It has a shell, which Bulbapedia noted could be another extinct animal, but I couldn't justify it. I mean, you could maybe see it, but it's just a Plesiosaur. Maybe there was a shelled Plesiosaur. We don't know, but it's just a Plesiosaur. I have to give this an exact match. I don't think they could give us a better one. Maybe one with a longer neck, but Lapras covers that idea so perfectly that I can't discredit that. So I'm going to give it an exact match for it being a Plesiosaur. Next up, we have Omastar and Omanyte, which is going to be another exact match on the Ammonite. Now, basically, they just took this thing, and then they took the shell, and they flipped where the tentacles were, so it was like more of a snail shell than a more generic back shell, which you can see with the spiral being in the opposite direction. But that's such a minor thing, and they're still very clearly Ammonites. Like, if you took a silhouette of them from the side, they would look like an Ammonite. So I'm going to give this one an exact match. The other fossil that is a pair in this generation is Kabuto and Kabutops. Now, unlike a lot of other fossils, I'm going to give these guys a close enough. And there are many reasons for this. One of them is they also have some horseshoe crab, which is very distinctly not an extinct species. So that does deduct some points. The other thing is they don't look exactly like Trilobites. Kabuto has a bit of it. Kabutops loses a lot more of it, but they're not quite exactly what I would want for specifically a Trilobite Pokemon. Kabutops also adds in some things of a Euryptid, also known as sea scorpions, though I don't think they were scorpions, they were kind of just arthropods. And I can kind of see that, but it also just gets another close enough for that, as it isn't exactly a Euryptid. I feel like we could get better on both counts, but these are serviceable for those roles. The final fossil Pokemon from Generation 1 is Aerodactyl, which has some inspirations from pterodons, I believe. Well, pterosaurs would be, I believe, the correct generic term, but they are specifically for the tooth ones, which are, I apologize for when I butcher this, Rhamphorhynchids, which are toothed. These are going to get an exact match ranking because while it does have some dragon aspects, it does convey the idea of a toothed pterosaur, pointed tail, generically similar wing shape. I have to give this to them as an exact match. While there could be some improvements, similar to Lapras, I feel like this is as close we're going to get, so I feel obliged to give it an exact match ranking. So when I was working on this video, I thought Aerodactyl would be it, and I would be doing the conclusion right now. However, as I was finishing up, apparently Snorlax could have some Cave Bear, which maybe it has a generally squished face similar to a Cave Bear, but that's about it. You never see Snorlax in a cave, I believe. It's normally in open fields, so the name doesn't really work, assuming cave bears are living caves. I assume based on the name. I didn't really check. I'm just going to assume there. If I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will let me know down in the comments. But I think this one close enough. I could give this a how, but they somewhat convey the aspect with the more squished face. I mean, I probably should have given them a how, but they're kind of just a generic bear. Their short face, the squished face does kind of give them some cave bear, so I'll give it to them, but it's not exact. So this one's definitely more on the less close enough, but it's fine for being a cave bear, though I would prefer a better one in the future. So that is it for the extinct animal Pokemon of Generation 1. There were 13 families, well, partial families in some cases, on this list, and if they have future evolutions or pre-evolutions, you'll be seeing those in the later videos when I'll basically reiterate the points, assuming that the inspiration is retained. So, what do you think of the extinct animal Pokemon of Generation 1? Let me know in the comments below. Are you excited for the rest of this series? Let me know in the comments below. And before I go, I would like to say again, all art credits, as well as all sources and further reading, will be in the description below. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!